Good morning. Welcome back to Cafecito con Colon. It is a beautiful 14th day of July. It's a little cooler this morning after some high days of heat. Lamont, have you been staying cool over there?
Yes, I've been trying to do the best.
It's been hot.
Yes, very hot.
All right. Good morning, Dr. Roybal. Good to see you this morning. Good morning, Amin Galba of the Galba family. And Rick, good to see you this morning. Good morning, Alexandria, my honorable in waiting. Great to see you. I miss being on the ground in Sandoval County with you, Alexandria. You are amazing, and good morning, sunshine to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Buenos días, amigo. Gracias por venir. I better get some more coffee. I'll be right back. Lamont, you good?
I'm good.
All right, we'll get started in 1 minute, less than a minute.
You're right.
Good morning, Geraldine. And good morning, Alfonso. Alfonso Thompson's going to be a guest on the future Cafecito con Colon. Thank you. Glad the kids are good.
Yes.
Dr. Joe McCaffrey. Good morning, Marianne. Okay, I'm going to grab some musk cafecito. Uh-oh. Our video got interrupted here. Let's see what's going on. I guess we're still okay. All right. I was nervous. I'll be right back.
All righty.
All right. Lamont, I couldn't do without my coffee. Can you hear me? Okay? We have an issue with the video, I think. Can someone confirm we're still okay with video? Good morning, Lynn Troyon. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Pammy. Good morning, Dr. Lang. One of my computers says our video is interrupted. Let's see here. Can I get confirmation? They say they can't hear me. Let's see here. Good morning, everybody. Someone confirm we're good? Can you hear me now? Morning, Shannon. Alexandria, we good with sound? Can you hear me? Can you see Mr. Handsome Lamont? Look, there he is. There's that smile. Boy, everybody's sending me pictures about that's quite the glamour shot of Lamont in his cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you putting that one up. That was a good one. That's a good one.
That is a good one. Good morning, Denise. Good morning. Can you all hear me okay? Looks like I might be having trouble this morning with connectivity. Good morning, Ms. Olmsted. Good morning, Denise. Can you hear me okay? Can I get some thumbs up or a comment in there? See, just my little old... Uh-oh, technical difficulty. Yeah, can you hear me, Anik? Morning, Dr. Pope. Go ahead, Lamont.
Did you want to try to reconnect or?
We might have to. Let's see here. Good morning, Harold Pope Jr. Can you hear me okay? I'm getting mixed messages here of whether or not I am properly connected. Oh, it's cutting in and out. Oh, Harold says he can hear me. Well, let's just go with it. If Harold can hear me, let's just roll with it. Good morning, everybody. Let me get up some buenos dias, Latanya. Let me get up some links here real quick. Those of you, thank you for the text messages last night. KRQE covered my announcement of a special audit on APD regarding its overtime and some of its internal controls and lack thereof in the Albuquerque Police Department. Also announced and covered that we may be having some issues. Good morning, Captain Jaramillo. Good to see you this morning.
Jaramillo.
Good captain there.
Oh, yes.
So we announced our special audit. The city of Albuquerque simultaneously announced the retirement of Simon Drobick, which is, of course, part of our investigation initially at the Office of the State Auditor, and now we have designated a special audit. So Albuquerque will get a full accounting and audit of those transactions within the Albuquerque Police Department and some concerns I have with internal control. So good morning, Shannon. Good to see you this morning. Let me give you a couple others. Here is some coverage on Pope Joy delaying the front end of its seasons, of its upcoming season for the fall through December. And if you've got tickets there, you'll be able to contact them and make arrangements. I've been a season ticket holder there for 20 years and love Pope Joy Hall and all it does. Hey, Devante is with us this morning. He came to see the incredible Lamont Davis. Good to see you, Devante.
Appreciate you.
Yes, indeed. And Jonathan Muniz came out to see us this morning. Let's see here. There's some coverage on the new health order that went into effect yesterday. Gyms at 25%, indoor dining off the table. Let's see, on the other Albuquerque Journal story, thank you to Emmett for giving me a heads up on this. We send our prayers out to the Sanchez family. Miranda was incredible individual leader in UNM athletics in the 90s, and she passed away yesterday. And one of my colleagues, her father is a colleague of mine in the law, and we send our regards to their family after Miranda's passing at the young age of 41 years old. Just very, very tragic.
Indeed.
So sorry for that. On the interesting news here, the Washington Post covered our governor again yesterday and her leadership, and where they led with the mask mandate is not a political situation. And so indeed, wear your mask, folks. And she does a great job interviewing with the Washington Post yesterday. Thank you to Ophelia for giving me a heads up that our governor was on. I didn't know until Ophelia texted me. Let's see here. Santa Fe is going to be reinventing its police department and announced a task force about making that happen. And so there's the coverage on that. I want to give a big shout out to Dean Grant and Nora Pascas. They're doing a great job in celebrating their 3rd anniversary of the monthly series called Our Land regarding the environment. And Jean was a great guest on Cafecito con Colon last week. Today we have with us a phenomenal young man who I got to meet on the campaign trail, Lamont Davis, and bring him to camera here pretty quick. Let me see. I've got just 1 or 2 more links here. I wanted to announce that I wanted to post up this link. I think you'll find this interesting. Yes, love my gov. I like that, Alexandria. On Optimist Daily, it kind of goes through because everybody says, oh, there's all these protests. It's going to spike the coronavirus rates of COVID-19 infection, things like that. But this article does a nice job of speaking to why we haven't necessarily seen a spike in positive cases immediately following protest. A big part of it is outdoors. But there's an interesting story there for you to consider. And let's see, I think that was everything I've got on this morning. Um, I do want to post up. There's been some great additions to the Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum and Remembrance um, there in Israel. They have moved so much online, whether it's instructional videos, schools, exhibits. I know that when I went to Yad Vashem, I've been twice in Israel. Very, very powerful presentation. And I hope you'll take a minute to watch a little video there and maybe take a look at their um, online exhibits. Very, very powerful. So good morning, Stephanie and Griego. Good to see everybody this morning. All right, well, here we are. It's 9:11. I'm going to maximize my time with the incredible Lamont Davis, just a great young man who's always got a smile on his face. And I want to just really tell him publicly. I know I've told him privately, he is a light in my world. He was a source of encouragement and inspiration, especially during the difficult days of the campaign when we were running for mayor against one another. Lamont was always just an incredible professional, an incredible human being who always carried himself in a way that spread positivity to those he encountered. And he is just a wonderful individual here in Albuquerque who I've really been fortunate to stay in touch with even since the campaign. Our paths have crossed. He did some work out there in California over at Google. And then he decided that he was going to come home and keep making a difference in his community. And he felt like the best way he could do that was to take a deep dive into the education system in a way that allowed him to interact with children in a positive way. And he is one of those good ones. I mean, he is with the Albuquerque Public Schools Police Department. And really, after having graduated here in Albuquerque, grown up here, he was able to connect with those students at, I believe, Manzano High. Is that right, Lamont?
Yep. Manzano, the Monarchs.
Monarch. So, I always knew that Lamont Davis was royalty, and now I know why. He interacted with those students up at Manzano High School, provided some connectivity for them in a special way. They were able to look up to this great young man of color, this Black man who was in a uniform, but helped them understand that he was on their side. He was there to protect and serve them, to provide an environment of support. And that's not always what we've seen. It's not always what we've been talking about. But for me, it was important to bring you to camera, Lamont, so you can tell some of that lived experience. You could tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a Black man in a field and in a career that doesn't have very many Black men and even fewer Black women, but that is often by your own community. By and large, I think I'd even be so bold to say, if I may, by and large, you're a Black man in a profession that is largely distrusted by your Black sisters and brothers because of its history. That has to be a tough road.
There's been that ideology out there. And when I first took on this job and I did that whole transitional spurt from when we were running for mayor and I got into Google, I got to go to California, I got to do a lot of things, got to do a lot of great things. And I came back and I said, you know what? I said, let me give this a shot. Let me give this a try. It was something that wasn't very traditional with what my family has gotten into, but I chose to dive in and say, you know what, let me get a shot at this. Let me see what I can do for my community. And it just bubbles down to you having a new understanding and constantly being encouraging and showing people that new way of, hey, I don't understand this, but let me see what this is all about. So when I took on the role as APS, when I got on to APS Police Department as a CSA, it was very challenging at first because I knew I was fighting an uphill battle. But once you just show someone that you understand things happen and there's a solution to what they're going through, it brings everything down to where it levels out, and they start to understand, and they slowly re re-advise the situation and say, hey, this guy's in a uniform, but maybe he's not all bad. Let me give him a shot. Let me see what he's about. So, it's just taking that time and bringing a new understanding and just let them know, hey, I get it. Things happen, but we're going to have to do A, B, and C to correct these actions, because I don't want to see you as a statistic. I don't want to see you fail. And just because your mom was something, your dad was something, your brother or your cousin was something, doesn't mean you have to be that something. You can follow your own career path. You can choose what you want to do, and just give off that encouragement. And I was actually blessed to reunite our students at Monzano with the uniform, because now it's like I see them more converging and talking to school resource officers since I've got the job.
Uh-huh.
Before, it was, very hush hush. The kids would not go to a resource officer. They would not come to us. And since I've been there and I've worked on a lot of things, and I just got to get to know them each individually, by me cruising the campus and uh, going to drama classes and just peeking in and letting them know, hey, I'm here for you. I have the support. I'm here to support you. And just, getting on that one-on-one basis, uh, calling them by their name and actually, asking them what happened, like do a follow-up, because they're going to come to you with concerns. They're going to vent to you, during passing periods. And, and you say, hey, so whatever happened to your dog? Did he make it? Or, what's going on? Did he take the shots well? And, just keeping up that atmosphere to let them know, like, hey, we do care. We do want to see each and every one of you succeed. And because at the end of the day, they want to be safe as well. And I think that it was a good way of giving them that outlet, like an icebreaker for them to trust somebody in a uniform.
So I'm
And
really hearing you say what we talked about during the campaign, which is, the importance of the concept of community policing, which is relationship based. It's
yes,
about building those relationships. And that's what it sounds like you're doing in the hallways of Manzano High School with those students. And one of the reasons I think maybe you're far more effective at that than others, is because of your lived experience, because of the journey that you've been on, because of the lens you look through, so to speak. And maybe you can take us back to kind of a little bit about that in terms of how you were raised and what it was like to grow up in a community of this nature, which there's not a whole lot of folks when you look to your left or look to your right that look like you, Lamont.
exactly. And you know what? And it was kind of interesting growing up, because my family actually married into a Spanish family. And we lived in Martinez Town, and my grandfather on my Spanish side, he was a firefighter, and he instilled into us, because we really didn't feel the color thing when we were in that family. But as we started looking around us, we kind of started, to creep in. And what we got down to is, we're all one race, and that's human. And
Mm.
it's how we choose and decide and to interact and go about certain situations that happen out in the community. I've always felt there's always been a time where you feel that level of tension with others, but that's gonna happen. Not everybody is gonna get along with everyone, and we can accept that. But it's what we do, even as people of color, it's what we do to correct that situation and resolve it.
But you
And
can't get along. You can't get along on a one-sided equation. That's what is the big challenge, right, Lamont? Like you can
yeah,
take that approach to the human race and all
mhm,
that, but if you find yourself trying to get along and you got that going on for you, uh,
mhm.
how how can you be successful at that when the people you're interacting with don't have that same approach?
It's one of those things that you have to reapply a new understanding, because maybe those individuals didn't have somebody like my grandfather to say, hey, look at this, do this, X, Y, and Z. And so sometimes you might have to be that person to say, hey, look, I understand, I get it, I understand what you're going through, but this is how we need to conduct it from this point on. And let me tell you why. Example A, example B, example C. And it's most of the time, it's because when we don't understand a certain situation, we let emotions take over.
Hmm.
So it's up to us and our peers and people around us to help let us look at the puzzle, because we're stuck on one piece. So it's just about getting a new understanding. Look at the broader picture. Let's build together. We don't get nowhere when we have uh hate and anger and dysfunction. We get things that are very emotional right now. I do understand that we're in a one of the hardest times. We're even facing something we've never come across, COVID-19. I mean, this is a time where we need to have unity. We need to just be open to new understandings and just come together. And if you're having a misunderstanding, you don't get why this is like how it's supposed to, or this is going this way, or this is going that way, reach out to your peers, reach out to somebody who has that broader scope, so they can help you transition and have you slowly understand.
Well, I think that's a great approach, and I think Carlos agrees with you and talks about that's kind of how he was raised. And Carlos was on last week or maybe the week before, but brought a lot of that similar message. And I think that was really one of the fun things about having you on the campaign trail. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning,
Yes.
Adan Carriaga. You know Adan Carriaga. Speaking of
Yes.
Martinez
Good
Town
morning.
and right there in that area, Adan has got one of the holiest places in Albuquerque, and it's the little capilla that he built with community friends and family
Amen.
members in
Amen.
honor of his mom. And if you go back to his capilla, where Aleli and I have prayed together before, and I have been often, it is a very, very beautiful place, and Adan
Indeed.
gives you lots of applause there, Lamont Davis. Uh, I hope that this all is working out, because I know that we're having some technical difficulties and the stream is not as robust as it normally is for some reason here at Casa Colon, or I'm not sure, Lamont, but hopefully this all patches together, stitches together. We're glad that Jeanette was able to join us this morning. I want to take you, Lamont, to speak a little bit about kind of your experience as a young boy who was in Martinez Town, growing up in that part of the community, going to school in that historic district.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point did you kind of bump into those instances where you realize, there may be some people that I'm going to encounter on my journey that are going to treat me differently and maybe treat me as less than simply because of the color of my skin?
Yeah, and that's a part of life. It's a part of the journey that it's a hard blow when you do encounter those individuals, but once you have that reinforcement from your inner circle, like your loved ones, and you're at peace with the guidance they have showed you, it will help you to overcome a lot of these situations and deal with them in a better manner. I'm not saying that it's easy, because when it happened, you hurt hard when it hits, but you self-reflect and you bring yourself into a new understanding on how you're going to resolve that situation. You know, it's one of those things to where you have to literally be the bigger person, and you have to be like a duck and let it roll off the back of your shoulders and move on. And you can't force nobody to do anything they don't want to do. It's as simple as speaking your piece and walking away.
Hmm. And do you have any recollection kind of on your journey where you found that to be a little more challenging than others?
Oh
And
yeah, definitely,
what was
definitely.
that like?
It was very rough. It was very hard because you've been told, hey, you know, you got the same uh opportunity as the next person, you know, you bleed the same, you breathe the same, and but to feel something from a different individual that comes off negatively like that, especially towards your race, it can be very daunting, it can be very challenging. And you know, it's one of those things to where by society they do expect a person of color to get angry when those certain situations arise. But I have to be better. I have to make a better transition and set a new role model for others around me who are a person of color. We don't always have to act out and respond in violence when somebody says something about our skin. You see what I'm saying?
I
There's
do. I
always
do.
another way. Yeah.
I do. Tell me about some of the things that you've embraced in terms of systemically that have helped support you and give you strength to find this peace and this approach that you have adopted in your own life, in your own lived experience, in your own journey. Tell me about some of those structural, maybe not structural, maybe that's the wrong word, maybe the organizations. I know that you were just telling me before we came on air that you just got Kenta'd. And maybe you
Oh
could share
yes.
that because
Yeah.
I think that most
Yes.
of us
That's
don't even know
amazing.
what that means, and that's
Yes.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so there's several organizations that I've got involved in. I'm very community orientated, and that was one of my strongest bonds that held me together and who I am. I was fortunate to meet individuals like you, individuals like you know, my principal, Miss V Hill, my lieutenant, Miss Deborah. You know, I was very fortunate to meet different individuals of colors, race, and creed, and just see what's, because not everybody is not the same, you know. Everybody has something to bring to the table, and I think if we focus on the positivity of these individuals, because we'll move along a lot better, a lot smoother, because let's face it, we all have a bad day.
That's for
and I
sure.
I don't think that, you know, a person should be crucified for that. So yeah, to the BSU situation. When I got there, like I said, I was, you know, filling everything around, out at Monzano, and you know, trying to bridge that community with the uniform and the student body. And so, like I said, I sat in on band rehearsal,
And
drama.
what you just to be clear, you mean your uniform and the student body, just so
Yes,
folks
my
understand.
yes, my uniform as an as a CSA officer with
Right.
APS Police Department.
Because
Yes,
you walked in a situation where you felt like you were already two clicks behind.
yes,
You had to
yes.
reestablish a level of trust with the
And,
student body and the
and I'm
uniform
the
to get
new
them
kid.
out of it.
I'm the new kid, so
Right,
it was hard. I'm the
right,
new kid, so
right.
you know, I was very fortunate, you know, to talk to advisors, and unfortunately, one of the advisors for BSU stepped down. Um, so there was going to be lack of funding issues. There was going to be a lot of these things, a lot of things that were going to be capped. So me and a couple of other teachers, we got together to support BSU at Monzano, and we were able to get them to continue on field trips at UNM, to learn about Black history and its culture and how BSU started. We were able to keep up and maintain their electives with their bake sales and their dance rehearsals, and it was amazing. It was a very good experience, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of it, and I'm very grateful. And the director of BSU at UNM heard about what I was doing on helping the BSU team at Monzano, and they gave me an honor of a kente robe. And it's the highest honor you can receive in BSU. And we were supposed to have a ceremony on Mother's Day, but due to COVID-19, unfortunately, it was canceled. But they got an ambassador to go find me at Monzano on the day of the graduation of our senior class of 2020 to get me my kente robe and my other packages that they were going to give to me for the ceremony. So it's definitely uplifting work. Yes.
That is awesome. What, Lamont, we were on the campaign. One of the things I really wanted to ask you about today was kind of your perspective on the why this is different. Why does this feel different? Why are, some people think it's because we were in isolation because of COVID-19. Some people just think, 8 minutes and 46 seconds was long enough to touch every single heart. But I wanted to kind of just be real kind of vulnerable with you, because I think there's a vulnerability in me admitting and actually saying out loud that you and I were on the campaign together to lead this city. And
yes.
That was a few years ago. And the Black Lives Matter movement was going on then.
Yes.
There were incidents that were uncomfortable, inappropriate, and wrong then. But we didn't really have much of that conversation about the movement. We talked about transitioning to community policing. And frankly, we all talked about increasing the number of officers on the streets for the city of Albuquerque, right? But we never really had, at least to my recollection, many of the hard conversations about what the Black Lives Matter movement was trying to get us to hear. And I wonder if you have some thoughts on maybe how is it that we could run for mayor of the 32nd largest city in America and not really have that conversation and not really acknowledge that kind of undercurrent that was out there. Would you agree with me on that? I guess I should say, do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I understand. And we're in an ever-changing world, and you got to understand, it reverts down to everyone is human. And when those unfortunate events happen in Minneapolis, I mean, how could you not feel that tug on your heartstrings, And it was very unfortunate. It was a very, very unfortunate situation. And I think the time then was in a different aspect because we were not able to get hit that hard of what happened in this time now that happened in Minneapolis. So you can now further see the outrage that a lot of people have in regards to what happened in Minneapolis. Even me myself, I'm not gonna lie, I sobbed, I cried. It was a very unfortunate thing, and I get chills of even talking about it now. But it's definitely a topic that we as city leaders need to bring to the table. We got to discuss this. We got to talk about this. This is something we can't sweep underneath the rug because it happened. It's happening. And it's up to us to make resolutions and show the public and our fellow man that we care. We have to do more. Together we can do better. There's no I in team in this, And it just reverts to taking that proactive action and transitioning into a positive direction to where we do repair some of those patches along the way versus disregarding it, you know? So it's just it's one of those things to where, you know, we really didn't know this was gonna happen. We didn't know about COVID. There's a lot of things that are coming out in 2020 where we got sidelined. We, you know, we have to do the best we can to try to resolve a lot of issues that are going on. And this is the hardest time that the unity of each community is going to be tested. Each community city leaders, down to the police departments, to the local uh, dry cleaners, or anyone who's working in the community. We're so strained on a lot of things. We have several things coming at us that we didn't see coming. And there's definitely going to be a lot of emotions, and some of us are still experiencing those emotions.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that you know, that's really well stated, and I think that all we can do is try and just listen, and so that
Yeah.
when we hear and when we see people who are trying to process through those emotions, we can send those signals of support. We can
Yeah.
send you know, our ability to be able to say, I hear you and I see you. And I think that I hear so many people say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do. And I say, you know, sometimes it's not doing something more than just stopping and listening.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, because you got to understand, from a group of individuals such as myself who feel like, you know, we have to let things go, and so to speak. um you could kind of feel that tension, to where if you keep everything inside of you, it's like a bottle, and, you know, there's nowhere for it to escape. And a lot of us suppressed a lot of those emotions, and so it's hard to express or explain what another individual is going through. Because, like me, for instance, I'm siphoning it out. I want to have that understanding with my peers that I have around me, regardless of what color they are or where they come from. So it's harder for others to jump on that bandwagon with me when it comes to how I feel. We're all different. There's not one set bar of how you should go with things and what you should do. The the best thing that we can do is show support and take initiative and see what we can do to help ease those tensions with those individuals who are still uh, going through that suppression.
I appreciate that, Lamont. I wonder if you could, I guess what keeps coming to my mind while we visit is you being in this public safety space, particularly with young people. And when I think about young people right now, high school students, young college students, they're some of the ones who are most in tune to the exhaustion felt by people of color, and they're in tune with saying, you know, enough is enough. And so they're, specifically as it relates to the public sector or the public safety sector, of which you're a part of. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, number one, what drove you to be a part of that? And what experience did you maybe have in your youth with others in that space that helped inform you to be the person you are, to have the approach you have with these students? And how does that work out in terms of how you're received? I mean, in some ways, and I don't know what that experience is when you were younger and what those interactions are with law enforcement or public safety. But I wonder if that gives you an ability to communicate with those young people that gives you additional credibility to build those relationships that you talked about, you know, 30 minutes ago.
Yes. Well, see, like I said, law enforcement wasn't really ran in my family, but it was something. And like I said, we all got, you know, bad apples in our family. We all got good apples in our family, if that's what you want to say. But, you know, I always ask the question, why? Like, why don't we talk to police officers? Why don't, and it just was one of those things that I kept with me is like, I want to get to know who these people are. I want to know what's going on because these are people. These are human beings. They just wear a uniform. And, it's one of those things to where, I wanted to see for myself what was going on. And, I get into the law enforcement world and see what the whole situation was about. So I started to pursue my career in criminal justice, went to National American University, finished that out, and just started slowly getting on the path in the community, try to get into a law enforcement job. And by the time I got into APS police, um, it was very nerve wracking because it's something new. It's something that you know we I our family wasn't really exposed to like that. But I'm grateful and I'm glad that I did it because it allowed me to tell them my story. I didn't have my birth mother or my birth father raise me. I was raised by my married and family. And so there's a lot of things that I can relate with my students when I am having that heart to heart talk with them, because I all the situations that you say you're going through, I went through them, and look at what I'm doing. Look at where I'm at now. And it hits home with them because they're like, wow, his birth mother wasn't there for him. His birth father wasn't there for him. He grew up with his grandparents. um you know just a lot of list of things.
Lamont, speak to that. Speak to that. What was that like? I mean, you've had to
it was,
process through not being raised by your birth parents, right? And being raised by
yeah,
your grandparents. That's a
it,
tough
was,
road.
it was a confusing, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a very confusing time, and it does take you a while to adjust and adapt to those situations. But once you understand the reasoning behind everything, you'll be much better off. Just like this, I wouldn't have got this far if it wasn't for my grandparents, my married inside. They're the ones who loved me, supported me, put food in my stomach. They got me to where I had to be. They did what they had to do to make sure that I did the best I can be. You see? So it's one of those things to where you would always want to know what it would be like to be with your birth parents. But you got to understand the people who are there for you. You got to take that into consideration, and just be grateful that there was those people there for you at that time in your life when you needed somebody to be there.
Lamont, you're an amazing guy. You just your perspective is really, I think, unique. I guess we all have a unique perspective, but having been raised by your grandparents and then to be able to find that level of gratitude that you have and that approach and that outlook on life, where did you get that strength?
Like I said, my grandfather he was my strongest inspiration, and he was a firefighter. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2010. Um, and like it's just every word that he said to me, I held on to.
Mm.
And very good man, very good man. And I can't believe I'm getting choked up right now. But I take everything that he said to heart, because he never lied to me. He always told me things will be challenging, but it's up to you and how you go around about situations to resolve things. If you got to be responsible for your actions. If you go and you want to do what your friends say is right and act angry and get aggressive over something that could be simply resolved with talking, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to understand that you're going to encounter harder things in life. And he was straight to the point. He let me know everything, from jump, from day one. And there was things that I and these were things that I took to heart. I was grateful for him to sit down with me and tell me, just be ready. Just be ready for this. I don't want you to do what your emotions tell you to do, because I know that they're going to tell you to get angry. I know that they're going to tell you to put your hands on somebody. We're not doing that. And I took that to heart. And I just kept it with me ever since. And it works. It works. When you're at peace with yourself, you can have peace with others, even if they do have a disagreement.
That's heavy duty.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I wish I'd known your grandfather.
Yes, he was amazing. Yeah.
I always have a deep love for my bomberos, my firefighters.
Yes.
Right? Right?
Yes.
You didn't go into firefighting and you went down this other path. That's interesting.
I'm scared of heights.
That's awesome. Lamont Davis is scared of heights. I love that.
I'm sorry. I mean, I could be the driver, but that's as far as it goes.
I'm not going up the ladder.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
What are some organizations that you're passionate about? I know, Lamont, you care so much about our community, and I know you've engaged, and I love your is it called a kente cloth behind you, or the stole?
Yeah, right? It's right there, my kente cloth.
Yes, your kente cloth from the Black Student Union, and I know you're passionate about serving those students there at Manzano. But I wonder about what are some of your other engagement points and things like that that are important to you. And Bev McMillan sends her regards, and Cindy Madrid, and all these great folks are enjoying your visit.
Thank you. Honestly, I just love being community orientated. Anything in the community that makes New Mexico strong, I support it. I'm all for it. When it comes down to our soccer teams, I support them. When it comes down to our local bakery, I support them. When it comes down to volleyball teams, and it's just something about being New Mexico strong that pushes me to want to be better. This is one of the greatest cities to be in, and to have that support. We are one of the biggest little cities, and we can make a lot of great things happen, but we have to work together. We got to do it. We got to do it together. And sometimes it takes ambassadors to do that. It takes somebody like you. It takes somebody like me. It takes somebody like my grandfather to say, hey, enough is enough. I understand things happen, but this is how we got to move forward. We can't get nowhere if we stay stuck on one level. We're having things in play to help resolve those issues, and we got to try our best to understand that and work towards something better.
What's in the future for Lamont Davis?
I don't know. I'm trying to become lieutenant.
Lieutenant. All right. I can appreciate that. I remember when Andrew, he started climbing that ladder. Now he's Captain Andrew Jaramillo.
Amen.
No.
Congratulations.
Sergeant. I always get all these ranks wrong, Lamont. I got to do better.
It's confusing. It's one of those things. It's just like the Starbucks menu. If you're not involved in it, you won't understand it.
Oh my goodness. And Andrew's always so gracious. I just got a thumbs up. But it's Sergeant Jaramillo. He was detective, and then he was lieutenant, and then sergeant. Is that right, Lamont?
Nah.
It's the other way.
Yeah.
I still don't have it right.
Don't worry. I'll be a PR guy for this. Let's just move on.
Okay, good. Lamont's going to cover for me. Andrew's going to give me some grace. He's going to extend some grace to me, and I'm going to try and do better. And I'm a little, that's embarrassing. I thought I had it.
Sounds like some hardware.
Right. Hey, maybe that's exactly where the feed will break, on the recording, and you won't be able to see how I screwed up all those paintings, right? All I know is that we audit the financial transactions, and we get those right.
Yes, amen.
That's right. Right. Tell us a little bit about, as we kind of wrap up this morning, I wanted to just give you an opportunity to share with us maybe a story or two about your journey that you think would be insightful for our audience. You've shared a lot of pearls of wisdom, Lamont. I'm so grateful to know you. I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm grateful our paths continue to cross. You know, being able to support you on your journey out to California and to Google.
Yeah.
And then we were able to stay in touch through that, and then bring, coming back home. And you've just been a really enriching source in my life, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm wondering if there are some things that I didn't really give you a chance to share about that you wanted to, and then maybe tell us, where do we go from here as a community?
We build. We have to work together, regardless of our color of our skin and the out views of what's going on. We're in an ever-changing world. We're getting hit with things that we didn't see coming. This is something that we have to now do, is come back to our fellow man and support one another. Just like I told my kids at Monzano, it doesn't matter if you're in student council, if you're a jock on the football team, basketball team, band, you guys need to support each other. We can't get nowhere if we have a lot of animosity, and we need to revert to those classroom settings when we're out here in the community. It's as simple as respecting one another and trying to gain a new understanding and build towards a better goal. We just have to do more of our research, and we have to do more when it comes to these situations that we didn't see coming. And it's hard when we don't understand that as individuals sometimes, because they're unexpected. But that doesn't mean that they can't be corrected and that we can't do new things to help ease those situations and grow together.
I think that's some good advice. I think we've all grown together, and I think that's part of, the pain of what we've experienced the last 7 weeks, is that pain point that we had to experience in order to have growth.
Yes.
And it's so optimistic, right? You can appreciate that, right?
And you know what? And it's unfortunate. And those are the things that help us learn. It helps us remember. It helps us understand the reason why we do things. It helps us understand a new way of updating and making sure we put guidelines in place so that these things don't happen again.
That's right. Before we close, I've had a couple people, and Marjorie, who's been a distinguished guest on Cafecito, she watches every day, and she's got beautiful children in the schools, great leaders. In fact, we're going to bring her 3 children on an episode of Cafecito. I'm going to have like a 4-way visit with them, and they're going to be great. I can't wait for that. I got to get that scheduled. But I've got Alfonso, I've got Ken Jackson. Do you know Ken Jackson, the KJ Effect?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm going to bring him on. I got Leon Howard coming on. I got Mr. Padrell coming on. Alvin Broussard. I got so and so I could keep doing a show where we amplify Black voices for the next month. I'm so enriched by all these wonderful people like you that I have relationships with and could bring on. But Marjorie asked a great question, and it's really an important question at this moment in time, because I think it's a conversation we're going to be having. I know school board members are talking about it. I know the state is talking about it. I know the country is talking about it. We've embraced a model where we've not only just said we're going to have peace officers in our school, we're going to have guidance counselors in our school, we're going to have detention officers in our school, but we've actually gone so far as, and you fill the role of a police officer in our schools. And we're talking about changing that now, and whether or not that was a good idea, whether that's a solid approach for embracing our students. And I know this is going to be a tough question, but there's very few people that can answer it with the perspective that you bring. And so Marjorie says, how do you feel about removing police officers from the schools?
we're hurting our children. We're hurting our youth when we do that. When an unfortunate event happens, who are you gonna call? Who do you expect to react and respond when your child needs help? We have to understand that there's going to be tragic events. There's going to be a lot of things that happen in this world, but we as a community will look to our city leaders, look to our community members to put guidelines into place to where we can have a better understanding of the reasoning why a police officer is in the school, why a counselor is in the school. It's very different lanes, but they're needed. Um, it's one of those situations to where we it would be very unfortunate if there was a situation that could have used a law enforcement presence and there was none available. Um, we have city leaders, so we have members like you in the community who can help place guidelines and work in a in an efficient manner to make sure that we can resolve the issues or concerns that when it comes to a school resource officer.
So, but it's interesting how you landed that plane right there. You landed on school resource officer.
Mm-hmm.
Even that sends a different signal and message to our students than what we're currently using, which is APS police officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder that, we've all come to realize that words matter, right? Approaches matter. So I wonder if maybe that's even the first part of that conversation, which
That
is
can be a definitely big first step in a transitioning. Well, when it comes to making an efficient step in that direction, when it comes to that, because to tell you the truth, I've done mental health dual diagnosis for 4 years. And it
that's
was
right. You know what? I'm sorry,
yeah,
Lamont. Will you speak to that a little bit? I know, and we're running out of little time, but I don't want to have people not know that you've actually done specific training and community outreach in terms of
yes,
behavioral health and mental health awareness. Can you speak to that a little bit? And then
yes,
let's get back to focused on the school. Sorry, I forgot to bring that
yes.
up.
No, it's okay. Yes. So I dealt with individuals who have not only a mental health issue, but a drug or actual alcohol addiction. So as a mental health worker in dual diagnosis, I had nothing on my belt. I had nothing. And if you can't use your words to de-escalate a situation, what are you doing in the profession? It's one of those things to where you have to deal with individuals on different levels. It's not a band-aid fix. You have to understand that individual for who they are. And you, as that resource officer or that resource mental health worker, have to understand that things happen. You got to learn how you talk. You can't give a directive saying, sit down, don't do this, stop that. Those are all you're unintentionally lighting a fire, because who are you to tell me what to do? You're going to spark something when you use words like that. So it's all about how you approach the situation and you use that verbal judo to help lax that situation.
Hmm. Well, I appreciate that. So I think sometimes when we say, like, how do you feel about APS police officers, and say, well, we really need them. And I think that sometimes it's important for us to take a minute and say, okay, well, we may need some element of public safety in our schools, but how are we going to frame that, and how do we present that element to our students and to our other stakeholders? Because how we present that, how we frame that, what does that look like? Uh, is it a resource officer or is it a police officer? Like those kinds of those kinds of distinctions actually matter, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and like I said, we're in an ever-changing world. We're adapting to a lot of things that are going on right now. And I do understand where people are coming from when they do have concerns. but they have to also understand that there are individuals like me who do come with a variety of attributes when it comes to mental health, criminal justice, community relations, and just simply being a product of the struggle. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. You know, I was one of those individuals challenging experiences and situations, just like the kids in my school was. I can understand where they're coming from, but I also do understand that there is a better way. I do also understand. I understand that, and if I can do it, I know they can do it. And if it takes us to interact with the parents as well and sit down and have them get a new understanding, then let's do it. We have to be one. We're community. We have to look out for each other. And if we need that reassurance, let's speak. Let's talk. Let's bring it up. Let's sit down. Let's talk it out. You know, we can't sit back and be quiet, and then we have things that happen when we should have said something a week ago. So you know.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. I appreciate that. You're getting props. And Clovis Bacchus says, 14 years law enforcement, and far too often we don't use our words. We emphasize a hands-on approach, and we got to change that. And that's exactly what you said, and I appreciate it, Lamont. Hey, buddy, I am really fortunate to know you, call you my friend. You know, I've been in your corner ever since we met. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you for staying in touch. Thank you for coming on Cafecito con Colon.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a blessed day. I appreciate you.
You bet. You calling me anytime. Here I am. You know that. Look, we're going to have Mr. Padrell on. We're going to have Leon Howard of the ACLU on. We're going to have Alfonso. We're going to have KJ Effect of Ken Jackson fame. Alvin Broussard, a very, very famous athlete from UNM, coach here in our community. Just a great family all together. We got some great folks and guests coming on Cafecito con Colon, so don't miss us. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you, Lamont Davis, for being with us, and thank you for coming on.
Bye.
Reach out to folks who are in isolation and tell them they're not alone. Tell them that Lamont Davis sends his positivity, his approach to life, which is one that's always got a smile. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Velveeta breakfast biscuits are